back to another video. I know you thought that I was just going to graduate and go away and never ever make another video, because these videos were solely based on my experience as becoming a therapist and what that looked like in the education process. But I will let you know that I am not done, and your girl wants to help other people, because my experience, if you've been following along, has been, quite interesting. We'll say that. And I thought that I would really just start kind of backtracking a little bit to kind of give some insights that I never gave before, answer some questions that have never been answered before, and just kind of make sure that I am still helping people and giving you guys updates about what I am doing currently. So we'll start with what I'm doing currently. Right now I'm still working my day job that I've been working since I actually started the program to actually become a mental health counselor. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw the video where I was sitting in my car and I wanted to quit and I was venting. I think there's like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah, I can't even remember. There were so many. It is a rough experience. Yeah, I definitely would have to say that my program really should have had the motto of, you want to become a counselor? Well, we're going to make you into a client first. Have at it. So in this video, I am going to go over the Cpce. Yes. So I know I had talked about it briefly. I talked about the taking the licensure test, which I was not fully educated, and I thought that the only thing I had to worry about when I graduate was the licensure, but somebody should have backed my ass all the way up, because really what I needed to be paying attention to was, in the beginning, making sure that I was practicing and studying for the Cpce. Now, some of you guys are like, what is that? Comprehensive test that you have to take in order to graduate. Now, I know that there are some colleges out there that they don't take the national comprehension test to basically say yay or nay, like you've retained all the information that you need in order to graduate. Yes, you might have a high GPA, but this test you could fail. So, and I will talk to you guys about that, because I'm sure you see the title of this video, and yes, your girl failed. But yes, your girl still graduated, and yes, she had all kinds of drama, but it wasn't centered around this test like I thought. So with that being said, let me show you guys what the study book is that's going around that most people use, either this book or Quizlet. So let me grab that really quick. Hold on. All right, so here we have it. This is the Encyclopedia of Counseling. This one's the 4th edition. I got this off at Amazon, I want to say for like $40 some. You need to be careful. It's the authentic purple book, if you see right here. The reason that this is not very helpful is because of the way the questions are worded. I'm gonna be real. So before I took the Cpce, as you guys mostly know, I was struggling with a lot of things that were going on with my school and them trying to kick me out on some bullshit. And I found out that I needed to take this test literally within less than 3 or 4 weeks. I think it was like 3.5 weeks. And I was like, thought I had all the way until July to take it, but I ended up having to take it in November. So like November to July, honey, we're talking about several months. So obviously, your girl was trying to cram. Although I had a 4.0, that doesn't mean that I knew everything in order to pass my Cpce. So this test has several different components. Like, it will go into counseling, like career counseling is a huge one. So I'm gonna be real with you guys. Career counseling, you need to study career counseling. Their group counseling is on there, but career counseling, study. And I know you guys are like, okay, I just heard you. But you need to study that, because the thing of it is, at least with my program, I think I had one whole class on career counseling. Even when I was interning career counseling. I think I might have implemented some career counseling into maybe a few of my sessions, but it definitely wasn't the majority of what my experience was. But this lovely book basically lets you know you need to know career counseling, but it does have several sections in here. Now, some of you guys might not have the Cpce that you need to take. You need to check with your school right now, like right now, because one of the girls that I was interning with, she went to a local college in Florida, USF, and USF, which is the University of South Florida, they do not take the Cpce. They have their own comprehensive test that they supply to their students based on all of the faculty members within their clinical mental health program, providing them with 7 to 10 questions, I think it was, each professor submitted to create a comprehensive test. So with that saying, this is not a national thing, but most, if not all, programs have some type of comprehensive test that you need to take. The Cpce is more of a national one. Now, obviously with COVID going on, I'm not really sure how that's working. We'll get to how I had to retake it and what that looked like during COVID, because I did have to take it literally as soon as COVID started. So we'll get to that. But you need to check, because you need to see if it's the Cpce or if it's a comprehensive test that your college creates on their own. The Cpce is the one that would be administered by like a proctor site like Pearson. So you want to double check on that. I had to register, I believe it was like $150. I originally had registered in November to take it in February, but then I was told that I had to take it prior to finishing out my last class, which then bumped it to end of November, right before Thanksgiving. Yeah, so first of all, I was sick to death, and I swear on everything, I'm pretty sure I had COVID. Like, I'm almost positive I had COVID, because my whole body was shutting down, and even after I was like over COVID, I got it again. Was I tested for it? No. Did it feel like the flu? Hell no. I would have taken the flu. Like, I felt like my whole body was shutting down. I've never had such severe aches in my entire life. And yes, I'm going on a little rant for a second, because it all will add up to why the hell your girl failed this test. And I just remember, even after I was quote unquote over it, that my lungs were still impacted. And actually, I feel like I should still even get them checked out, because it was just crazy. Like, I had went to one of my friends' houses for Friendsgiving, and they were doing a bonfire with s'mores, and your girl likes s'mores. And I remember getting not even like 15 feet close to the fire, the bonfire, and I could not breathe. Like, I could not catch my breath. And I'm not talking about, oh, the smoke got you, it choked you up a little bit. I mean, like, I ran out of there and was gasping for so much air that I threw up. Like, I could not breathe. So when people are saying like COVID is a whole nother beast, trust me, it is a whole nother beast. Even though I did not get tested for, I've never experienced so much pain and so much inflammation in my lungs in my life. So wear your mask. Anyways, done with that PCA. I had to take this test in the middle of me feeling like that. COVID wasn't even something that was mentioned in November or December. So, you know, I went, and hopefully nobody else got sick. I mean, it was towards the end, and when I still kind of had like a dry cough. But first of all, I had to take it on USF's campus. You can pick what Pearson site, if you have to do a Pearson site, that you want to go to, but just know, and I don't know if it's the same thing right now with COVID going on, that slots fill up very quickly, because they're doing more than just the Cpce. Like, sorry boo, you're not the only person there taking a test. There are other people taking tests for like a multiple like reasons. There's no one reason that somebody's at a Pearson site, because unfortunately in today's society, they like to charge you for tests. And so, yeah, Pearson stays booked and ready, or at least they did. Okay, because, you know, I've spent several $100,000 with Pearson that I didn't want to. But anywho, yeah, so this is broken up into several sections. So this book actually should help you. I heard with the licensure, it did not do shit for me for the Cpce. And the reason why I say that is because the information is very easy in this book, and it's very relatable and understandable, and it's an easy read. But when you get to the test is so ass backwards, like the way it is worded. I can't even explain it except for saying like and I'm gonna give you guys an example, not like of the test question because I can't remember exactly what the test question is, but I'm gonna give you kind of how they word questions because your brain has to flip it. And I talk to other students and I'm like, am I sick? Am I crazy? Like, what is going on? Like, these questions it took me 5 times to reread the questions just based on how they were written. This book does not show you how the freaking words are written, and in terms of not the exact questions, but how they're written. If you guys have ever taken this test, you will know what I mean. So let's just say like this book is purple, right? And the question might go, like a normal question will go, so this book is purple. Can you please tell me what hue color it is? And you're like, oh, like royal purple or whatever. No. Cpce will go, the book in its format is of a shade. What shade do you think you could relate this to a client? And you're like, so the clients are a shade? What? Huh? Like, I remember one question, and this is the one question I remember, yo. Because it stood out, because I felt like it was a very ignorant question. The question was, so you are talking to a client and the client believes in a certain time. And in the Caucasian community, they believe in a different time. For people that are minorities, what time do they believe in? And you're like, CPT time? And I'm looking like, I don't see that as an answer, yo. It literally, the answers were like past tense, present tense, future tense. And I'm like, first of all, this freaking question is like very stereotyping. And not only that, like, can somebody please answer that? Like, so if you're white and watching this, do you believe in past tense, present tense, future tense? And people of color, like, which one do y'all believe in? Because literally that question, I just ponder that. And it's not like this test gives you the answers. Oh, and FYI, I think there's like 135 questions. You get 3 or 4 hours to complete it. And I believe it's 4. You get 4 hours to complete it. And basically only about 80 some of the questions they count for. They count towards your score. So basically a lot of these questions are bullshit questions, and that could be a bullshit question. I feel like it's a bullshit question. Although I felt like a lot of them were bullshit questions. So, who am I? But yeah, it made no freaking sense. But that literally, I know you guys are probably like, Camille, like, come on. The questions can't be like that. Okay, don't listen to me. Because before I took this test, I was all over YouTube. I was like, okay, got my book. Okay. So when you see the letter P in relation to a test of significance, it means A, portion, B, population. I was like, okay, I got this answer. C, yes, probability. I was like, got this. So watching YouTube videos of other people, they're like, oh, I didn't even study. I got the book. I read it from cover to cover. I'm like, lies you tell, because I was still in school interning and working, and this has 738 pages. Bitch, you're lying. Okay? So when y'all watch those videos and they're like, and I just did nothing, and I passed. Lies. Because I feel like they're lies. Like, there's some people that are just really great test takers that understand ass backwards freaking words and phrases, but I think I am an overthinker. So if you're an overthinker, I'm just gonna say, try to practice to not think too far into these questions. The questions are very simplistic, but when you're an overthinker or you're trying to apply it directly to your own personal experiences, you're gonna have a harder time. You're gonna get stuck on questions. So what I would suggest is go with your gut on what you feel like is the right answer. And I know that doesn't help when you guys are taking tests, because I hear people say that, I'm like, that doesn't help. I'm not trying to give you unhelpful information. I'm literally telling you that these questions are so simplistic, but written in the most asinine way, that if you're interpreting it one way, just answer it based on how you're interpreting. Don't try and read too much into it. You'll spend too much time on one question. And I legit, at one point, I was like, I feel really stupid because these questions are so easy, but yet the answers that they're providing as options did not go with what I had learned in school. So I had even downloaded Quizlet. I'm sure if you're in college, you probably like know what Quizlet is. I'm gonna be real, like most of my tests for college, they were on Quizlet. So like if y'all didn't know, like spoiler alert, it's on Quizlet. Like they're not recreating the wheel here. If you need study guides, Quizlet is your jewel, is your gem, is your child, is your boo. Like you need to stay hugged up on Quizlet. And that's Quizlet, Quizlet. And so that is the best way to really study for this. It will give you like games and puzzles, and I think I even had downloaded the app on my phone where it gives you like a question a day. Like you can program it to do more than one question a day, but there are other avenues to study for this test. But you need to get with your professors and see what exactly a passing score is. And the reason why I say that, although this is a test that can, and I notice how I said can, be given nationwide, it is not always given nationwide for people that are in this program. And I'm saying that because, like I said in the beginning of this video, some colleges choose not to use it, which the girl from USF, her college did not use it, and she legit said that the professors just passed everybody no matter what. Now, of course, some of you guys are watching this like, oh girl, that's all I need to hear. Let me click off this video. I don't need no more. They're gonna pass me no matter what. Wrong. I failed. Yeah, you heard that right. Yes, I failed the Cpce. I'm talking about like failed. failed. Like your girl did really bad. So because I didn't have enough time to study, because I was sick, because I literally was getting hung up on the way the questions were written, I failed. So my suggestion to you is to get with your professors to say, I need real examples. Like this book, it's great to get just a concept, but these questions, the way they're written, they're not how they're written in the actual test. Like I can understand everything these questions are asking because they're very forward. The answers are very direct, but the test, the Cpce, is very elusive. Stuff that you might have learned, but it's reworded a different way that even if you are up to speed on everything, you're still gonna question whether the answer that you're providing is correct, because you're gonna be like, what is this? Like, this doesn't make any freaking sense. So get with your professors, like even if you're in the beginning of this program, get with your professors, say, hey, what is the average score that I need to pass? Every college, if they're doing the Cpce in order for you to graduate, yes, you heard me right, you need to pass this in order to graduate. I will talk about how I failed and how I was able to overcome my failure in a second. But you need to pass this in order to graduate if your school is telling you that the Cpce is a part of your end of program examinations, okay? I'm not trying to give you any alarms. I'm just keeping it real because nobody did it for me, okay? So you need to get with your professors and say, hey, what do I need as a passing score to pass? Some colleges will have it. They'll say, okay, you need to have at least like 65 questions correct, right? So remember I told you there's probably like 36 questions, and they only grade 80 some of them. So your school will grade on a curve, but what they do, some of them, like my school, what they did is they waited for the national average to come out. So the national average comes out every 30 days. So it's always in arrears. So whatever, say I took it this month, it's September. Whatever I took it in September, I would have to wait 30 days to then see if I pass, which would mean I would need to wait until October to see if I pass based on them getting all the scores for the people across the nation, not just your school, across the nation, what they took. Okay, so if they took it and everybody failed it and everybody basically only got like 40 some questions correctly and you was balling out at 60, boo, you win, you got this, get your cap and gown, you graduated, okay? But if you have not met that, let's say 40 questions and you're at 39, well, your school can determine if they want to grade on a curve. So they might say a 2% curve. So they might say people that are within 2 points up or down will pass, right? So you need to check with your school, find out what are passing scores, find out how they calculate passing scores, and then that will help you at least have some knowledge of what it will take to pass. Now, some schools will say we need to wait for the national average. Other schools are like, okay, we always say that you need to have 75 questions correct out of 85. So like, you need to know, I think my school, it was like, it was 70. I think it was like 70 or 71, and I had 65, yo. Don't go back and change your answers, because I did. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. So, yeah. I didn't pass. What happened is that the class that I was taking that was like, it was like the last class, not the internship class. It was like the last class that was kind of like, the one that kind of wrapped everything up. Like you had to do a video talking about like your school and, how you felt like you've grown, like you're a planet or something, I don't know. But basically it just goes over what you need to do to finalize yourself to basically exit the program. Little did I know they was trying to exit my ass behind my back, and not in a good way. We're not going back. But so what happened is they will give you an F in the class. So I know some of you guys are like, girl, yes, they will give you an F in the class, but do not be too alarmed, right? So I had got an F in the class, and I use F technically because what it is it's really you're sitting, at least with my school, you're sitting with an incomplete until you take the test again. So with the Cpce, and this is across the board, you get 3 chances to take it. So like the first time, or I think it might be 2 or 3, you get to retake it. You might want to check with your school because every school, like I said, is totally different to take it. So you can retake the examination like at a Pearson site, or they have what's called the oral examination, and that's where like people from your department will present you with questions that you need to answer that are related to your program in terms of like basically they can pull from any course that you've taken and ask questions from that. So it's like you really, and that's what the test is. You have to know from the beginning of your program to the end of your program what all those courses were. I will say do not get caught up on the stats. That was like 2 whole questions. So if you guys are sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I need to like the stats class, I think it was like 2 questions, and they cycle, and a lot of people that I've talked to that are already licensed and in the program or in their fields and everything like that, like the stats is really, really small. So if you're watching this video and you're studying and you're focused solely on the stats section, please don't do that. Let me make sure that's what it is called. Let me see. So like all this stuff that's like the bell-shaped curve, the bar graphs, the histograms, yeah, that's really not too big on there. The sections that are big on there are human growth and development. We have social and cultural diversity, counseling and helping relations, group counseling and group work. Study that, study the founders of that, study everything that you can about group counseling, career development. Those two, they should be together because literally the test was 95% both of those categories. So if I were to say anything, study the hell out of those two categories. Assessment and testing, I think I had like 3 questions on that. Research and program evaluation, that was a big chunk. Those questions seemed a little bit easier, but those were also the questions that I felt like were very circumstantial, that I overthought because I was applying them to my real world experience that I had at the time. And I felt like that's where the test is a little unfair because there's so many things that can happen if you're already interning or some sort of in the field. You know that there's no one specific thing. Even with somebody having the same diagnosis as somebody sitting beside them, they're not going to have the same exact symptoms as the person sitting beside them with the same diagnosis. We're dealing with humans, right? But the test is so generic yet specific that it makes it seem like in order for you to even get an answer correct, you need to know what scenario they're playing and with what client. And it's like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, no 2 clients are the same. No 2 diagnoses are going to look the same on 2 separate people. So I would definitely do your best on those questions and don't beat yourself up. We have professional orientation and ethical practice. Yes. Ethical practice, y'all. Ethical practice. You need to really dive deep into that, and you need to read the ACA Code of Ethics. You need to really understand. It's not going to ask you like, what's the statute number, anything like that, like what's the numbers. It's not going to do any of that, but you need to really understand what the ethics are in this field and how to apply them to real world scenarios. That, if I cannot stress anything more, it's the ethicals, the career, and the group counseling. Those 3 are your bangers, okay? If you study up on those and you don't study up on anything else, you should be pretty good. There's counseling, families, and diagnosis. Now, I know some of you guys are probably freaking out like I did and thought, oh my God, how am I going to memorize all these diagnoses? Like, the DSM-5 is like its own encyclopedia. No, stop. Do not do that. It is a waste of time. Do not study the DSM. Do not study the DSM. Do not study the DSM. Don't, okay? You're going to waste your time completely. Do not do that. So those are the main sections, but get with your school, see exactly what you need in order to graduate. When I failed, it was, luckily for me, and I'm hoping this is the case for some of you guys watching this, it was right when COVID became like a thing and everybody was home. It was like March of 2020, so this year. Oh my God, this year's almost over. Anyways, but yeah, so you guys need to see what you need to do if you fail. What I had to do is I had to do a written one, so a written exam. So what that was that the school had 3 different case studies for me to choose from, and I only got these case studies the day of the test, and I had 3 hours, I believe it was, to actually pass the test, and I had to be on camera the whole time. I was at home. The Pearson sites were not open. I don't know if they're open, so you might want to check and see. And I don't know what workarounds the schools are doing for you, but the workaround they did for me is I had between an oral or a written, and my mentor professor was like, Camille, you probably want to do the written only because the oral, like, you have no idea what they're going to ask you, and the grading can be elusive, and she already knew I did not trust the school. I did not trust anybody in that administrative office. I didn't trust anybody. So she was like, at least this will be written, concrete, and if they have something to say, they're gonna have to be specific. So I was given 3 different cases on the day of my test. I was at home taking it, but I had to be on camera because at the Pearson site, you know, people are watching you like a hawk. So I had to be on camera. And the 3 different cases I then had to do SMART goals on. I then had to break it down into each of the sections that I read you. So this is how they did it. So I had to talk about, for the case, that the one case I selected out of the 3 that were provided to me, I had to look at it and I had to apply the SMART goals. I had to apply human growth and development. I had to basically say like where this person was at in their lifespan development. Y'all should know, if you're watching this and you're at this point in the program, the lifespan development, Eric Erickson, come on. Social and cultural diversity, I had to speak about how the client's background and the intersections of like the socioeconomic and the diversity of, or lack thereof, of this client, how it was contributing to their current situation. I had to deal with like, would this client work well in a group? If yes, why? What kind of group? If no, why? And what are some alternatives to groups that you feel like would benefit this client? Career development, the client, you know, I think the one that I had chosen, they were trying to switch careers because they were basically having like an identity crisis at, I think they were like 40-some years old. And so it was like an early midlife crisis type scenario. And this person was abusing like alcohol. So I had to basically write about the effects of, you know, lifespan and plateaus in careers or family relationships that could be contributing to why a client could be going through a certain point in their life. And then I actually had to diagnose the client. So that is where you don't necessarily have to put what the DSM-5 ICD-10 is, but you need to have a concept, like, is it general anxiety? Is it, you know, PTSD? Is it personality disorder? Whatever diagnosis that you say, you literally have to provide proof on why you feel like that client meets that criteria. What are their presenting symptoms? How long have those symptoms been going on? Are they at the correct age to even give them that diagnosis? Because I'm sure you guys know there's some diagnoses that are more so age related, and that's more so like when you're talking about children. So you need to make sure that if you're going to be giving a client a diagnosis, that it's appropriate, and you need to stand behind it and give real reasons as to why. This is if you're doing the written one. So then we have the what assessments. So you need to already know some assessments, some key assessments that would help with understanding the presenting problems and the symptoms for this client, and make sure that they're culturally sensitive. So that's a huge one too. But you need to understand like the dynamics of their family dynamic. That also contributes to a client's diagnosis sometimes. Not always, but sometimes it does. You need to know the biopsychosocial and understand like if they have a history or a family history of past drug abuse, mental health issues, sexual assault, anything like that. If they've ever been, you know, what we say in Florida, Baker acted, like they've ever had a psychiatric hold. These are all things that are super important to make sure that you are understanding what you're writing for your test. So with that being said, put all your questions in the comments. Like, I will make another video and be more specific. This was just a generic, but I did the written and I actually passed. Thank goodness. It was a little bit easier because I was able to use my own words to really express what my knowledge was with the test, with the Cpce. I felt like I could not relate to what the questions were asking because the answers and the questions were just not aligning with how the information was presented to me, not only in this book, but also how it was presented to me in my school. So I hope this video was somewhat helpful. I hope it gave you guys kind of like an insight on what are some things you can and you should do to practice. And, you know, if you fail the test, it's okay. There are several people that have failed the test. I got so discouraged when I would Google stuff or go on YouTube and everybody's video was like, I passed, I barely studied and passed. Get out of here. This is the real video. I'm telling you, There are people just like me at a 4.0. I graduated with 4.0. Thank you. And I still fail. This test does not test your true knowledge. So if you are watching this and you have failed it, please do not feel like a failure. Do not feel like a failure, because it happens to the best of us. Some people are just really great test takers. Some people aren't. I am a horrible test taker when it comes to proctored tests, because I'm an overthinker and I get easily distracted. If somebody's clicking their gum or something, I'm like, I only want to hear that, y'all. You hear that? Is that the air conditioner? What's that? You know, don't beat yourself up, okay? So with that being said, like the video, comment below with any question. No questions too big, too small, too stupid, none of that. With your questions below, and I will make another video or just answer them in the comments. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. I have so many more videos that I want to share with you guys on my journey. So bye.